So this is for all the beginners out there, all the novices, all the spring chickens that are like, I want to get into investing, but I don't know where to start. We've got a beginner workshop on the 16th of June. It's free, which is great.
We're going to teach you what a stock is. We're going to talk about how regularly you should be investing. We're going to talk about lots of different places you can put your money.
And what even is investing.
Yeah. It's for anyone who is thinking, I've heard this investing stuff, don't really know where to start. So we would love for you to come along. It's totally free. We'll put a link for you to register in the podcast show notes.
Welcome to The Curve Weekly, the podcast that keeps you up to date with all of the money, business and stock market tea.
Brought to you by the Curve's research team. It's the latest insights on what's happening in the stock market, companies, other money-related news so that you can stay educated and ahead of the curve.
You can thank us later for sounding smarter than those finance bros at your next dinner party.
I like your outfit today.
Thank you.
A lot.
Wore it last night.
What did you do last night?
I just like, you know what? I don't have the brain capacity to think this morning.
I love having...
Flower Man was like, oh, wearing the same as last night. I was like,
and what?
Fuck off. Only you know this.
What did you do last night?
We went to dinner and comedy.
Fun.
It was actually so fun to laugh.
Yeah.
It was
just paying £20 and going and having a good old lol.
Oh, it was like the Trump in America jokes and like just there's a Canadian MC and she was just making, you know, she's like, I sound like an American but with less gunpowder or gunfire or something. And I was like, oh my God, lol. And it was just like so many, she's like, we want to rename ourselves Melania so that Trump keeps our hands off us, like or something. I don't know. I'm going to butcher these jokes, but they were just so, I was laughing so hard.
Where was it? Was it at a comedy like?
Yeah, the Bill Murray Comedy Club.
Oh yeah, fun.
It was really fun. And then there was this guy in front of us who was losing it. So we were laughing at him because
Oh, that's always the funniest part.
There was a couple on their first date and oh my goodness. Because she was like, she like came on stage, one of the comedians, and like tripped over this girl's bags. And she was like, what are you doing? Like, where have you come from? Why have you got so many bags? And then she started talking like, what do you do? What's your name? And how do you two know each other? And it's like, oh, it's first date. And then she was like, yeah, he was late. And the whole crowd's like, ooh. Anyway,
oh my God,
so
you just don't sit at the front of a comedy show.
For a first date as well. They honestly.
That's
and then,
a fun first date.
And then they're like, how did you guys meet? And like, can I see the message? And
I would be dying.
And he was like, I reached out to her through Facebook Messenger. And she's like, what? Hello?
Who still
and
uses
then this
that?
other couple, like, how did you meet? And they're like, oh, through friends. A friend called Bumble. She was honestly so good.
Comedy is
such a cheap night to have a laugh.
I know, and I don't know why I don't do it more because I love it every time I go. I actually just booked, Chris Parker.
Oh, yes.
Who's a hilarious comedian from New Zealand. He's here in August.
I saw
just
that.
booked.
Did you see his little cameo about him putting on his barber jacket? And he's like, I'm coming to London.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, it has been a big 24 hours, hasn't it? We've seen
I feel like by the time this podcast comes out, there's going to be so much more that would have happened.
Yeah. We might need to start like figuring out how we can like record and put it out on the same day.
We should record live. Ooh.
No pressure.
No arms. No swearing.
Oh God, if you should hear our
no
non-edited
picking your nose.
podcast.
No dribbling.
Gross. No one's picking their nose. Yes, so we've had one of the biggest breakups of all time, wouldn't we say? The 5th of June will go down in history, the biggest breakup.
Yes.
Publicly between two giant babies.
It's like the Real Housewives of Washington, D.C.
Oh my God, it is.
And everyone's just watching the series unfold.
Oh, honestly. Just
Season
before
1.
This podcast, I was reading a whole lot of BuzzFeed. Do you remember BuzzFeed? What a blast from the past. Threads of all the social media stuff. And it's like people in caps being like, slow down, America's running out of popcorn,
So good.
Just such good tweets. So funny.
The world's richest man and the world's most powerful man.
It's all
breaking up on social media.
Yeah, it's all unraveling. Honestly, what was the biggest bromance of – actually, I think bromance is a word that we're now throwing in the bin. We've got a feeling that that's no longer – it's not like socially unacceptable, but I think it's kind of like because it's as if guys can't have friends. Like, oh, a bromance. Like, okay, get over it.
Oh, we could have a womance.
A womance?
A woman.
Or just a friendship.
A woman-mance.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
We digress. Trump and Elon Musk are no longer in love.
No longer in love.
It's like And actually, do you know what I did last night? I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but I went and sold all my shares because I need to use the money soon and I didn't want to like have it in there. And I just had this feeling like something's going to go off a cliff.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, I was just like, I just want to pull my money out because I didn't do this last time. I needed my money that was invested. I didn't pull it out early enough. And then the February crash happened and I was like, what an idiot. Why did I not pull it out sooner? Have you put more in? Oh my God, what?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Tesla's down 15%.
I know, I saw that.
And I feel like we're going to wake up tomorrow and they'll be like, just jokes.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
definitely
or
think Tesla's one too.
If we've learned anything about Trump, it's how erratic, and admittedly we've now got Elon in the mix, but like we know how erratic this is and also how reactionary the markets are.
What's happened since the breakup?
So Tesla, down 15%. So the reason for the breakup, if you haven't been watching, you haven't even been on social media because it's like all over. I don't know if it's just my algorithm.
No, it's it's everywhere.
It's funny when I am on TikTok or Instagram and I start seeing like one or two posts about like this, for example, going on. I'm like, what are they meaning? What are they referring to? And then slowly more and more comes and you're like, oh, okay. You know, like it kind of takes a few posts or a few.
It's like someone's breadcrumbing you.
Yeah. It's not like when you read the news, you like read a headline and you're like, that's it. And you've got everything. You know, you kind of have to keep watching and keep searching to get the full picture. Anyway, so a while back, I was like, maybe let's take a step right back. So we all know that Elon was a huge supporter of Trump.
Well, since October, right? They got together in October last year.
Yeah. And then he was a huge supporter of him getting into power, like financially as well. He put about $300 million towards Trump getting into power.
I didn't know that.
So like they were very chummy.
Sorry, was that into like the campaign? Yep. Was that so like in terms of marketing or doing things?
Yeah, more flyers, more advertising.
I didn't realize that. He literally funded his campaign to get in.
Yeah, and this is what politicians and elections are all about, right? It's having rich friends or lobbying certain people to give you money to fund a campaign. It costs like billions to run for president. It's like, how wealthy are you?
How can I infiltrate every platform?
Like you and me could never run for president. I mean, actually, yeah, we could.
I mean, God.
If we're really good at
We recorded an episode, like a political episode not that long ago. We actually haven't put it out yet with Chloe Swarbrick, an amazing MP. Anyway, I was just so embarrassed at how little I knew about politics. Every 5 seconds I was like, oh my
what does that
God,
mean?
what's that word? So, okay, yes. So he was actually funded the campaign.
Yes, he funded the campaign and then I guess is probably like a thank you or like because of how much money Elon put in, Trump was like, you know what, I'm going to make you part of government and I'm going to create this Department of Government Efficiency, which was like a completely made up kind of division. So Elon was involved in that. Not that long ago, he stood down from that. And
Elon?
Yeah, and people were like, oh, something's happened. Like that was kind of the spark of like, okay, you don't just put someone in a government role for 6 months. Yeah. And then be like, see you later. So that was probably the start of the unraveling, but a bit more behind the scenes. And then Trump announced this bill, which he calls the One Big Beautiful Bill. Honestly, he's like. And part of it is he's removing subsidies for electric vehicles. So a subsidy is essentially a tax break or a tax credit. So like it makes the cars cheaper for people to buy. Which is
why for a long time Tesla was doing well, wasn't it? Because there was quite a few government incentives for people to buy electric vehicles. So
well, it's more the demand, right? Like if you were looking at a normal combustion engine car and you've got a Tesla, which is like maybe slightly more expensive, but it's a electric vehicle, and you are like, I can't really afford a Tesla, so I'm just going to have to buy a combustion engine. Like in order to change customer behavior, there has to be
incentives.
Well, there has to be incentives to choose a better environmental option if it's not necessarily cheap until it gets cheaper and then it becomes price competitive. So yeah, it's an incentive to help people and the country and the world move towards more electric vehicles. That being removed is going to impact Tesla and the demand for Tesla. I mean, the demand for Tesla cars is already falling through the floor because of what Elon's doing, being in bed with Trump. So maybe now people are like, you know what? But I just
I'm sorry, but imagine how effed off you would be if you'd invested $300 million on someone's campaign and then they come out with a policy that essentially absolutely fucks your business.
Yeah,
Excuse my language.
and you're the majority owner, so you've just lost billions of dollars.
How awkward would that be? Like wandering down the hallway to your boss's office, like, cheers, Trumpy. Thank you so much.
Which is why it makes me think, like, I just don't think this will play out how we're seeing it right now.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of thinking this is a big publicity stunt?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like...
I don't think you'd be publicly posting all the stuff that they both are on social media if you... Do you think?
I mean, they're both pretty erratic people. Like, if we think about what Elon Musk has posted in the past, we think about what Trump's, you know, what decisions he's made since he's been in government and how many of them stuck? Hardly any of them. Like, it's... I just feel like this is not the end. Is probably, yeah.
You reckon they're going to have a reconciliation? They're going to go to couples therapy? They're going to start having sex again?
I think it's beneficial for both of them to
be on the same page.
Yeah. Personal wise, like removing the country and like the world, I think for both of them, they're both so self-indulgent. Like Elon was like, you wouldn't have gotten to power without me. You know, you wouldn't have become president without me. You wouldn't have won. Like, they're so self-indulgent.
I know, but to say that, the amount that will have bruised, they've bruised each other's egos. And I think that in itself is like...
I just think it confirms our suspicions, right? That Elon Musk was only buddying up to Trump because he had a self-interest. And Trump was effectively for sale. Like, he was effectively... driven by money and power. Like, I just, yeah. Anyway, there is actually an incredible interview with that Piers Morgan, who I cannot stand, has interviewed Scott Galloway. He's the
Psychology of Money author.
Yeah. No, the algebra of wealth author, yeah. Who we've tried to get on the podcast, but he's just like blowing up right now. I'm like, damn it.
I saw your emails to try to get him on. I was like, nice try.
I know. So funny. I tried to get Jacinda Ardern on as well.
I know.
And and then I saw she's interviewed with Oprah. I was like, okay.
She's got some more important interviews to do. That's so funny.
I was like, surely we're Kiwis. Like, surely. And then, yeah.
You never know.
I know.
It wasn't
You've got to shoot your shot.
Yeah. We've tried from all angles.
Totally. Yeah. Need to find out where she's staying in London and just hound her.
Is she here in London?
She's doing a talk next week.
Should we go or is it totally sold out?
I mean, it's sold out, but we could just go.
Should we just go?
With mics in hand.
Stake out. Love it. Oh my God, let's do it. That's fun.
Anyway, there is an incredible interview with Scott Galloway and Piers Morgan around Elon Musk and just like how toxic he has been for America. And how the innovation and money in America has just bred depravity, which is like corruption and, you know, terrible, terrible behavior. And he's like seriously worried. And I don't know, it's just like it does kind of scare me how much two people can move markets and can actually impact share prices and global growth. I don't know. There's just, there's a lot going on right now.
Well, it doesn't feel like a democracy, does it?
No. Yeah. And it just feels like it's breeding toxicity. It's breeding reactions, like outrageous reactions, which impact other people. And like, even when we're talking to Chloe about dogism and like how it's just become so...
You need to explain because we haven't actually released that, so a lot of people won't know what you're talking about.
She just comments on like the extremity of how politics has evolved, and it never used to be this kind of, I guess, toxic and intense. And so it's just like, it does scare me at how this is just another, I guess, indication of how it's playing out.
One of the tweets that went kind of viral is, this is yet another good example of why men are too emotional to be in leadership.
Oh, totally.
It's like,
go meditate, babe.
So true.
Honestly.
Can I read some of these, like just to lighten the mood slightly? Because I feel like sometimes if we don't laugh, we cry. And I know what you mean about this is actually kind of terrifying. But actually, let's just for a second have a laugh. The funniest possible outcome is Trump deporting Elon Musk.
Oh my God, yes.
Imagine if he gets rid of him. Because technically, Elon is an immigrant.
Yeah.
Plot twist.
Plot twist. Donald Trump and Elon Musk's alliance took off like one of SpaceX's rockets. It was supercharged and soared high, and then it all blew up.
Oh my God. Hey, at Donald Trump, let me know if you need any breakup advice.
Oh my God. I read one and it was like Joe Biden just having a normal casual day because he doesn't have X and he doesn't have social media and he has no idea what's going on. Like so good.
Oh my God. Honestly though, what a fucking child. Elon Musk literally just put a tweet out or an X out or whatever we call it saying, whatever. That's all he said. Whatever. Full stop.
Whatever.
Someone just goes, he's never been angrier in his entire
pick
life.
up the phone. This baffles me when even like famous people, celebrities do this shit. Like I'm just like, who wants to air their dirty laundry in public?
This is the first day Elon finally made Twitter great again.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, everyone. I would love to see the stats on how many people have signed up to Twitter.
Someone at Elon Musk, did he sign a prenup?
Oh my God, so good.
Someone just wrote, watching the Trump and Elon fight, and then just has like a big sign saying, I just hope both teams lose. Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, Regina George, Elon right now, and it's like a fake burn book from Mean Girls. This is the nastiest skank bitch ever. Do not trust her. She's a fugly slut, Regina George,
Fugly
and it's
slut.
just got Donald Trump's face. This is like Kendrick versus Drake, but with two Drakes. It's it's honestly just.
Get the popcorn.
Yeah.
This is not over.
Have there been any actually educated people that have commented from like the investing space being like, do this, don't do this, this is happening? Like, I don't know.
It's honestly like, I think if we react to this, it's like you're trying to time the market, right? It's kind of like, I guess I'm being opportunistic in terms of
Buying
Tesla. But I mean, if you own the S&P 500, then you own Tesla, so you'd be impacted. The market actually fell yesterday. It started up strong, and then as this all started playing out, it started to fall. So
yeah. Also, just to clarify, I wouldn't have sold if I didn't need my money quite soon. Like I'm hoping to use it in the next like month. So I was like, if we have another like Trump all over the show wobble and the whole market crashes, this could be really bad for me. And I think that's just a good example of wherever you're at in terms of what you're investing for. Make sure you're not putting money into the market that you are going to need soon.
Yes.
Because that is timing the market. And I did feel a bit naughty last night in bed, like selling all my shares.
Hey, listen, you didn't have to sell 2 months ago.
No, well, so this is exactly why I sold last night, is because when 2 months ago, when everything started falling, I had like most of my money in risky investments. Spicy investments, and I was trying to buy a house, and it started falling, and I was hopefully going to be using my deposit, and I did lose some, but if I hadn't pulled it out when I did, I would have like not been able to have enough money for a deposit. By the way, the property podcast is starting in like a week or something, which is quite exciting. So we're going to sort of talk about property in general on an ongoing basis. But anyway, point is, it's kind of don't panic. If you don't need your money for a while, it doesn't matter, even if the markets have a total blowout.
It's like you can be involved in what's going on and not react.
Yeah.
It's just so
You feel deflated. I'm getting really deflated energy.
No, I just feel, I guess I am a bit exhausted. It's like, I mean, it gives us stuff to talk about, right? Which is great.
I mean, we weren't struggling for things to talk about before.
Yeah, no, it's just, I guess I've got to see the funny side of it. It does get a bit exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, because what I don't want is it to escalate and then either person does something that affects other people. Like people get caught in the crossfire essentially.
Which is 100% what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it already is.
And also like removing EV subsidies, right? Like that's the crux of what has started this whole tit for tat. Is not good for the planet.
No.
Anyway. And we all know that Trump is like anti-saving the planet. So it's just, that's probably what I'm just like, underlying this is what I'm frustrated at.
But I'm surprised that this is only just happening now, in the sense that like drill baby drill campaign byline was never giving I care about the planet.
Well, this is why I was confused.
So why was Elon at all even there? Was he thinking, shit, I better get in because that's his byline?
I think there was definitely that. And then it was like, maybe there was promises, being like, hey.
I don't care if you totally F the planet up, but if you could just make sure that you don't F my business up, i.e. EVs, can you just not touch that?
Well, Trump has also come out and said, hey, everyone, I've actually put through wide sweeping tax cuts for everyone. So like, hey, I'm actually doing some good things. And remember we spoke ages ago.
Oh, he's doing like a shimmy over here to distract what's
Totally.
happening
It's like,
over there.
I'm gonna increase tariffs over here, which will probably impact inflation. But hey, I'll cut your taxes. So you've actually got more money to spend. So it's like this whole.
Wasn't the whole reason that this whole thing was unraveling was because the main thing that Elon posted was Trump's tariffs are going to send the US into a recession for the second half of this year? Wasn't that the whole thing that like in the last 24 hours, he's basically being like, what he's doing is going to totally F the whole economy.
That was a reaction to Trump introducing this bill of cutting EVs. EV subsidies.
Okay.
And then he's like, Trump is in Jeffrey Epstein's black book. It's getting very personal now.
The fact that Elon's trying to throw some like moral stones at Trump, it's like, what are you doing?
With Elon Musk, do you remember over 20 years ago now, and he was like, I want humans to be on Mars. Like, that is my goal. And he created SpaceX to launch rockets and satellites. And, his whole goal was for people to settle on Mars. He's just like, we're getting too overpopulated for Earth. So that's why he created SpaceX.
I mean, honestly, but behind all the total shit, his concept of like the Earth is like not in a good place. We need to start being creative in terms of the cars, in terms of where we live. Like he's definitely,
which makes you think they just don't line up.
Yeah. But no, I was not taking part actively or at all aware of what was going on in the news 20 years ago. So I'm not like, oh yeah, I remember reading a headline on that at all.
Yes.
But so
20 years ago, he set up
his
SpaceX, which has now become the world's largest satellite company. So they launch rockets, they deploy satellites into the world. They have Starlink.
And I see them everywhere. You look up at the sky at night and you're trying to look at stars and all you see is like a line of little white lights following each other.
There's nearly 9,000 satellites orbiting Earth, buzzing around the Earth.
Is that a lot?
That is a lot, yeah. Like, I mean, Earth's massive, right? But SpaceX itself launched 800 satellites in May alone, like the largest amount ever. And anyway, it's just like SpaceX is absolutely killing it.
Are they?
Yeah. But it's a private company, unfortunately. So, but remember, this was the theme that we spoke about at our event in Auckland. And you were like, what are some trends you're seeing in the next kind of 5 years? What are some investing trends? And I was like, I think that space is going to be a really big one in terms of commercialization. Like we've had all this testing. Like, yes, there's rockets they're still putting up and they don't actually succeed and they cost billions of dollars, but we're getting closer and closer to
that's so interesting
commercialization of space. Or like, I mean, gosh, we saw like Katy Perry and all those do that little.
So you think that it's actually going to be something that kind of takes off in some way? Like there's going to be some new innovation in whether it be living on space or spending more time in space. That's so fascinating.
I think it's going to become more and more common. Yes, it's.
Imagine if people are living in space or on Mars or like,
that
my
freaks
God.
The bejeez out of me. Like even going.
Yeah, my. Imagine if like, those movies that I'm so fascinated by movies like that, like sci-fi type stuff where they're all living in these things orbiting the world or you look out the window and you see planets and stars.
I just know it'll be my luck that I'll become detached from the rocket or something and just be floating in space for the rest of my life. I honestly I have this weird premonition.
You're scared of floating away.
Yeah. Just
there's
imagine.
no way. I mean, I can't even cook.
Even the thought of it freaks.
I can't cook like a prawn soup without cutting my finger and like spilling shit everywhere. And like if I was having some kind of weird, I had to attach myself to the spaceship and get myself back again. Like you wouldn't be seeing me.
Just imagine floating.
There's no
off,
way
because I can't come get you. I would you just float off into what? Like nobody knows where you're going.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like imagine if it became normal to just be like, oh yeah, off we go. We're going to go get, I don't know, some random rock from Venus over there, and we have to lock ourselves in, put our harnesses on. Like I could not follow
Well, imagine if it was
instructions
like,
and
oh,
get
where are you
myself-
going for holiday this year? Oh, I'm going to Venus. Oh, I'm going to go to Mars. Yeah, cool. Oh, should we catch up in Uranus?
Oh my God, I can't believe you're 36 and just made a Uranus joke.
I just love you
Do you
didn't even
remember in
react.
school?
I was like, oh, God. Anyway.
Shit.
But
So
there is a
oh my
public
God.
company that is exposed to this, and that is Rocket Lab, which,
Oh my God, we spoke
Yeah.
about this in the investing club.
Yeah, so-
I've invested in Rocket Lab.
and there is like space exploration ETFs and stuff. So there is a way to get exposure to
Let's
it.
do
but
this in the club.
Yes.
I'd love to learn more about that.
more space stuff.
But do you know what I mean? Like, just I don't even really, the idea of commercializing it products in the world as is makes sense to me. But space is this foreign, like, whole new, I don't even know how you would, what kind of capitalist ideas are going to take off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, other than rockets and spaceships, how else do you make money on companies in space? I don't know.
We've also had, I'm changing tack now.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Sorry. Vic always really struggles going from story
I
to
know,
story.
I
She's like, how do
do.
I go to the next thing? How do
Like
I make
that was a great lead in because it was like we were talking about Trump and then Elon and then Elon.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
now we're talking about Taylor Swift and I don't have any connection.
Yeah, got it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is where we're going next.
Yes. Yeah.
And where is she celebrating? Because she's done a cool thing, hasn't
Yeah.
she? She's done a cool thing.
She's
God,
done a cool thing.
I could just hear myself talk and I reckon I'm going to start listening back to these podcasts in like 2 years and be like, I'm so embarrassing and uncool. Like, what is that language?
I know.
She's done a cool thing. Blech.
She's done a cool thing.
Sorry. So Taylor Swift has bought back all her like work, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's bought back the rights to her music, which I actually had to do some digging and be like, how does the music industry work? You probably have a better understanding of this than most people, having worked at like Sony and
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, I don't know heaps, but I guess the crux of what has happened in the last like 15, 20 years, before streaming platforms were around,
Yeah.
record labels were the only way to create a successful music career because
Yeah.
you needed the infrastructure and the backing and the finances
almost
behind
like the promo, isn't it? To like get you on the radio, get you on the, yeah.
Like the whole system was designed so that if you want to even like get access to like, you know, AMP, like in terms of people who help develop artists and their songs and give feedback and then even just the infrastructure of going into a studio to create your work to then the contacts to go into radio stations to pitch songs, like there was like monopolies, right? And so breaking into that was really, really difficult. And you kind of relied on record companies to, if you wanted to become a musician, you were really at the mercy of record labels. And so
There's like when you drop your like mixtape to like
yeah,
record
totally.
labels,
And then
yeah.
like, you know,
Your
10 years
demo.
ago, you would have your like record kind of like reps that would go in and there would be like music listening sessions at radio stations where they'd be like, this is Lord's new song. They'd play it and the like music guy would be like listening, being like, yep, cool. Like maybe we'll spin that one, you know?
Oh my God.
So
and there'd
it
be people that be like, nah.
Yeah.
Wow.
and so
imagine listening to, I don't know,
you
Taylor
do, you get
Swift
previews
for the
of
first
stuff.
time being like, nah. Imagine giving up on like Beyonce or I don't know, Ariana Grande or Dua Lipa and just being like, nah.
I think it's more just, it's also the idea of the power for musicians to break in has been in the hands of few people, right? So it's like there's a few people at the record label, there's a few people at the radio station, whereas now it's up to, it is democracy in a way. It's like people can find their music, people can find their artists and like you vote by listening and that's how artists make money. So the sort of circular
It's like
thing.
investing. You know, you used
It
to have
is.
to give your money to someone and they make the decisions of where it's invested. Now you can go straight onto platforms like Sharesies or Trading212 and be like, no, I want to pick this, this, and this.
So basically what's happened with music is that, you know, back in the day in terms of with, I mean, I'm sure you'll get into this in a second, but with Taylor Swift, her early records relied on record companies. So they would have absolutely owned her in terms of how much they would have paid for it and how much she would have earned because it's kind of like book deals. You know how when you write a book, you kind of don't get very much in terms of royalties unless you absolutely kill it. You get like 3 cents a book. It's a similar, I guess, business model or financial model for record companies. So I imagine what's happening here is that because Taylor Swift now is in a financial position where she's like, actually, F you, I want to buy all of my stuff back so that I can make more and I have more control over my own promotion and finances. It's just flipped the music industry in a way where you don't rely on record companies anymore, and a lot of artists don't need them to be successful.
Yeah, because there's two types of music, right? So there is like when an artist makes a song, there's the master rights, which is the actual recording of the music, and that's the finished song that you hear on the rights, like Spotify or the radio. And then there's the publishing rights. So this is the songwriting. So this is like the writing of the actual lyrics. So whoever wrote the song,
which often is different from the person that's published. Like, so you know that song, Love Yourself by Justin Bieber? Ed Sheeran wrote it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like there's so many.
Rihanna doesn't write like many of her songs.
It's really
like,
fascinating.
Yeah. Anyway, usually the record label will own the master rights, not the publishing rights. And that's what you're talking about when they go and then they promote it and they sell it. Yeah. But when Taylor Swift first started, she sold those master rights, not the publishing rights. And she sold them to Big Machine Records. And then in 2019, Scooter Braun, who she had a big like bust up with.
Oh my God, I'd love to do a deep dive on that. I can't even remember what happened.
Bought Machine Records, so got access to her master rights.
Right. So basically this person that she kind of hates has had all her master rights up until now.
For her first like 6 albums.
Wow.
And then, but because she wrote the songs.
She had the licensing rights.
She had the publishing rights.
Sorry, yeah.
So that's when she went out and did, you know what, I'm going to re-record them.
That's right.
And do Taylor's version.
Yeah.
And therefore he can have the master rights to these albums, but I'm going to also get Spotify on side and say, you can't, if you want my version of my master rights.
You can't play his.
You can't play his. And so anyway, she had this big thing.
Oh, she's so cool.
Anyway, so that's when she like re-recorded them all. And I guess she's in a lucky position because she did write all her own songs, whereas a lot of artists, they'd just be at the mercy of someone else owning their music. Then recently, Scooter Braun sold those master rights to a private equity company, and then she approached the private equity company and bought them off them. So she bought them for $360 million.
Oh my gosh, she had to buy her own shit. God, that
But
sucks.
Scooter sold them to the private equity company for around $300 million, and then they flipped it to her for $360 million. So like they've made like a quick buck too. Like everyone's trying to make money, which I just find so gross, but I guess that's just how the world works. But anyway, what I really love about this is that the reason she was able to afford to buy her music rights was because of the money, all the money she'd made touring. So she was like, thank you to my fans, all my Swifties. If they hadn't supported me and come to my concerts, I wouldn't have had the funds to be able to buy back my music. And so anyway, it's like this whole full circle thing, right? And I guess it's a good reminder of how important contracts are. They can really F you over. And it's really important to read the fine print. And I know I'm guilty of this. Like you get an insurance document, right? And you're just like, oh, whatever, I'll just sign it. Or like, I don't know, some kind of relationship property agreement. You're like, yeah, whatever. It's like, no. Chuck that shit into ChatGPT. Pull out the key points because that could so F you over in the future. And I think it's really, really important to know what you're signing and not sign anything. Not saying that she did. She was probably in a position when she was younger where
she probably
got paid a lot of money for that. Like, but
I also think the lesson here is she doesn't need to own her music financially. You know, like she doesn't need that money. She's fine. She's one of the richest women in the world.
Yeah,
it's the principle of everyone effing each other over and everyone having control over her and her art, and she's taken that back, and I just think that's amazing.
I also think it's like if you are in a sticky position, get creative, right?
Yeah.
Like re-record all your own music.
I know.
And then,
it's so clever.
like when we signed a deal a few years ago.
With a company we will not talk about.
Yeah, we will not talk about. But they essentially,
it was a similar thing, really.
They had control over a certain amount of our podcast.
Yeah.
And we were like, it was a certain number of seasons, and we were like, you know what?
We just won't sell any advertising into it because
we'll just quickly get through those seasons.
Yeah.
And then we've got control over the remaining seasons.
Yeah,
and
actually, we've had a Taylor Swift moment.
Yeah, we had a Taylor Swift moment. We were like, you know what? It's only for a certain number of seasons, so let's just pump them out and then we can have ownership. And it's kind of, we've learned from that, right? We've learned any contract now we go into is like, yeah. And we had rose tinted glasses. We were like, oh my gosh.
That's what I was about to say. I was almost going to say, I think don't underestimate the power of doing things independently.
Yeah.
I think for so long, we're sort of told you're not going to achieve or do well or blah, 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 unless you have the backing of a big record company or a massive media company. You don't need that in today's world with digital and like platforms and social media and everything. I don't know. I feel like the slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
And having control over your own stuff is the way to go.
Yeah. And also like,
it's so much sweeter when you do well rather than just someone else taking credit for your work or, like.
It's also, I don't know how to put this, but like when someone schmoozes you, and
you see through their bullshit.
Yeah. It's just being a bit more of a realist, I think. Not drinking the Kool-Aid, like kind of. But maybe that's not.
No, but it's also what you say about investing when you say like if something's too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah. It's exactly the same when it comes to a deal like this. If you're like, oh, we really need promotion and this person said they're going to blah, 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 like Scooter Braun with Taylor Swift or the record company with her earlier, they will have promised the world. Actually, it's just remembering there's no like quick, easy win. You're not going to it. Something that seems too good to be true in any capacity probably is. And when it comes to contracts or partnering with people or whatever, you just have to think worst case scenario because worst case scenario happens a lot.
And it's also, it removes the opaqueness if worst case scenario happens.
It's almost like a prenup.
Yeah.
It's a prenup.
It's like, and also a really good reminder is like, don't make like a handshake deal or like a verbal deal. It's like, put things in writing, even though at the time might seem mundane or unnecessary. It's like if you owed me money, just send me an email, be like, hey, Vic, I promise I'll pay you back by June.
Yeah.
And this because if I'm like, no, you said June, you're like, no, I didn't. It just creates this awkwardness. It's unnecessary. Yeah. It's like, actually, babe, you said June. Like,
and also I think I totally agree. I think that's such a good point. And also it sounds like we're on our high horse, like we've always had it sort of, we totally have it. Like we've definitely had our own blowouts.
You learn from your experiences,
right?
Yeah.
But I think you're right. ChatGPT is the best thing if you're at all confused, or also ask a friend or someone else who has done something before. Like I do that quite a bit.
Yeah.
If I don't know the answer to something or I know someone's more experienced and has more skills and has done something similar before, just ask them.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to share their knowledge and help each other. You
we
can find
that,
someone.
Right? With that contract, we were like, this is, and they were like, oh wow.
And so many people have got in touch with us.
That, get rid of that. And we were 100%. Like, we would have had no idea.
But people since then have done the same with us. Like they've got in touch with me like, hi, we're thinking of doing a deal like this. And we heard that you had something sort of similar. Like we'd love to get some feedback. And I think you just learn from each other, and it's important to ask questions because as soon as you sign on a dotted line, it's legally binding.
Yeah. Got a few other quick things. We are seeing a bit of IPO activity happening.
Oh gosh, this is new because there's been no new businesses going public in ages.
It's so funny because like the market hasn't been great, right? Like for the last few months. So a lot of IPOs were like, oh, we'll just wait in the sidelines until the market's a bit better. And now it's come back and it's like rebounding again. Everyone's like, okay, we're ready, because then they get a better price. So if a company lists on the stock exchange for the first time, you want a really supportive, exciting environment. You don't want everyone to be a bit doom and gloom and be like,
we've talked about the IPO as kind of like your coming out party. It would be like no one coming to the party.
Yeah. Or it's like throwing a party in summer versus winter. People are a bit like, it's cold and wet, I don't want to come.
So true.
Whereas summer, it's like, woo, I'm tan, I'm feeling good. It's like,
I will be there.
I will be there. I will be drinking. Yeah, you want the best possible environment.
You want to try and control the things you can control.
Exactly.
Which often is not a lot when it comes to a party. You know, you can get great flowers, you can have yum food, but like if you do it at a time of year, like the day before Christmas, probably no one's coming.
And we have had one company that I would say probably teased a little about having a summer party in the UK. And then they were like, actually, sorry guys, we're going to go to the US because they're way more exciting and love parties. And they throw better parties pretty much. And that's Wise. So
they used to be TransferWise, and every time I go to say Wise now, I'm always like TransferWise.
Yeah.
Because it's so ingrained. Like, I don't know why they did the rebrand. But anyway, Wise is where you send money internationally.
Yes. So it is a huge kind
I would invest in Wise because I use Wise a lot.
Yeah. Same. My whole bank account, my cards, everything's with.
And also when we talk about the idea of globalization or being able to kind of go between countries, and we actually spoke about this yesterday in the office, like there's such global trends around people living and working in different parts of the world, being able to have money that's easy to transfer from place to place. Like it's really important.
Like I remember when I was overseas recently in Europe and I saw Western Union. Do you know those it's like a yellow and black logo, and you would
Are
literally
they
go.
ATMs?
No, you'd go to like convenience stores, post office, and you'd literally put money in a parcel and send it, and it was like quite secure.
I don't remember that.
You would send money to places where they might not have like a very stable banking system. So like, you know, it might be in like South America or Africa or so. Yeah, it was kind of.
But sorry, what would be the context you'd be sending money there? Is it if you're traveling there?
No, sorry, if you're sending money to family or friends or someone that you owed money to. Like I remember when I went to South America and I did like a 2-month holiday, and what was it? The like hostel was like, oh, can you Western Union me the money? And I was like, Mom, I was like, how do I do this? And you literally.
You had to pay in advance. It's when you couldn't pay online. So you had to send money, basically.
Yeah, you literally had to send money. And it was like a really secure network, and it was like Western Union was like a reputable brand. Anyway.
Parcels of money being sent in the mail in a yellow envelope. Like, sorry, would you not be like money?
I don't think it's literally like, it's more, they're kind of the company behind it. So it's like, okay, cool, we've deposited money at this.
Surely you can spot it from a million miles away though.
But anyway, I was just like, oh my God, is that place still around? Like I can now transfer money within 2 seconds with like super low fees, and like who doesn't have a bank account now? Anyway, so yeah, TransferWise has made it so incredibly easy to transfer money between countries, and like particularly for likes of us, you know, you're doing New Zealand, you're doing UK, you want to travel. Like I don't even really transfer money now in terms of like I do within my transfer, but I've never, you know, like I used to have to go on holiday, be like go to the bank and convert into like
travel card
and convert into euros or like pesos
we've come
or whatever.
a long way, haven't we? So they're IPOing, so they're going to be a public company.
And it was actually blessed when we went to Japan and I set my parents up with Wise.
Did they love it?
Like a Wise card. And they were like, so what? I just pay wave with it? I was like, yeah. They're like, but what about the fees? I was like, I mean, it's so little. You're not even going to notice.
But that is a thing, right? Because it used to be when you travel, the reason you would get a travel card or do all the other shit is because it was so expensive to do it.
Yeah. But also like cash out now. Like someone can steal your bum bag and steal your cash, you know. Also, there's nothing that screams tourist more than someone with a fanny pack.
Oh, a fanny
and like,
pack.
Or, you know, it's like just try and blend in. When I see tourists with like, you know, trying to be all
poles and stuff.
I'm like, at least just try and blend in. You're screaming tourists. You're screaming you've got wads of cash on you that I want to steal, you know. Anyway.
Yeah.
We digress. So anyway, Wise, £1 billion company, was going to IPO in the UK on the London Stock Exchange. And then they did a little pivot and were like, sorry, we actually
change of location.
Change of location. We're going to throw the party in the US, not the UK.
Oh gosh.
And
is it a UK based company? Like, did they start here?
Yeah, it's headquartered in London and founded in London. So yeah, it's a big blow and another big blow to the UK. Like this has been multiple companies now because you want to go where the demand is, right?
Is this problematic though? Like, is this going to mean that we basically have one, like, because the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, like the American stock exchanges have always been, you know, enormous and comparatively to other stock exchanges does really, really well.
Yeah.
Is there like an alarming realization that, you know, the centralization of everyone wanting to be listed in America, meaning that the rest of the world is going to suffer financially? Like, I don't know, what is it?
It means
could there just be one centralized stock exchange for the whole world? Why does it need to be even like, why is it
it's an access to capital, it's an access to money, right? So companies list on there, then you get UK investors that invest in those companies, they grow further. And so it's like, it's kind of like this cycle of money flow into a country. And
but why is it not just one in a global economy? You know, like why do we not just have one big stock exchange that funds the whole world? Feels weird to have them so.
It'll be like having one big currency. It's like,
which I think will happen with crypto. Imagine, oh my God, imagine if I've just predicted the future.
But like, they tried to do that with the euro, right? And you've got countries that are like super prosperous and others that aren't.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like doing all this heavy lifting, and then you're like, well, we want to leave because actually.
Oh, mate's not pulling his weight.
Yeah, literally. Like it's kind of would be the same with stock exchanges. But it's also, it's good to have choice, right? Otherwise you'd kind of be paying. I don't know. Yeah, it's just.
Would there ever be regulation put in where you have to list where you're based? Like, would that help?
I think that would be more detrimental.
Really?
Because companies would be like, sweet, we'll headquarter in the US.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get a mass exodus. But it does make sense because usually if you are headquartered or founded in a region and people, that's where you first grow, people know the brand the best, like all of that. It does make sense to have some alignment to your home town or home country. But Revolut is another one that's going to IPO and they're looking at the US over the UK.
Digital bank for anyone that doesn't know.
Digital bank. Klarna as well is in the US.
It's like Afterpay, right?
Yeah, it's like an Afterpay, kind of the European kind of.
Shit, so all these fintechs are going to IPO.
Yeah.
And they're all going to America.
But it's also.
I feel like this is going to be a new wave for the stock market. You know how everyone's sort of talking about like NVIDIA and the AI and Amazon and Meta and blah, 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 kind of like have carried the stock market for so long. These new tech companies that are going to IPO, I think are going to be the ones that kind of like carry the baton.
Carry the baton.
Yeah.
The baton?
The baton. Whatever.
But we're also seeing this play out in New Zealand. Like we're seeing it in everyone. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy as well because if the US stock market keeps doing well, more companies want to list there. Therefore, there's more excitement and more interest. It's more eyeballs. Like it's kind of like a classifieds, you know, like an online marketplace. The more products you have, the more eyeballs and more demand, the more higher products sell for. Therefore, more people list and more, you know, like it's kind of an online marketplace is essentially what a stock exchange is. So to stop that, you need to be like, hey, you can list on our stock exchange for free, for example. You don't have to pay any fees.
Oh, right.
Come here. We're actually really attractive. And then you balance out, okay, well, we've got more demand over here.
Oh, there's a sale.
But London's like giving us the platform for free.
Yeah.
So, or you just have to like remove red tape or create more interest in your stock exchange so people come. It's like your farmer's market. If no one's coming, what do you got to do? Make it free to have a stall there. You know, make
advertising or signs
free parking.
Yeah,
I don't know. We got.
It's the same idea of like your market. They're trying to market the stock exchange, not just to investors to buy, but to companies to be there. So it's like, and
also, if there's not new and exciting companies on the London Stock Exchange, then it doesn't perform well, and you get the opposite. It's such a vicious cycle. So you really need to make sure that you've got your best chance is getting these exciting companies that have a headquarter in your location or have majority of their customers in the UK. So anyway, it's not very good news. That is going. And then also another IPO that we have coming up is Virgin Australia. Not as exciting, but great for Australian investors.
They'd be public. It's such a massive business.
Yeah.
I guess also this is quite full circle from COVID times because there was, did you realize what you just said with your mouth?
It was just quite dry.
Yeah, okay. I really hope we can make a video out of that. That was
good. What did I do?
You did like you did. You used to do that all the time.
I know. I still do in my own home. Not in this.
But
I kind of forget sometimes this is filmed.
Yeah. Don't you worry. But I would have thought, because, you know, airlines have suffered a tragic death around COVID. The fact that one is like doing so well, it's ready to IPO and be public is quite good, isn't it?
Yeah. No, and it's been owned by private equity and they only ever hold things for a certain period of time because they've got returns that they want to.
Let their butterfly fly off into the wild.
Yeah, definitely. It's also owned partly by Qatar Airways, 25%. But yeah, so there's one coming to the Australian Stock Exchange and there is one going to the US.
Cool.
None here yet.
Love that for us.
And that is all from me.
I loved today.
Yeah.
Do you know this is so funny. I was thinking when all of the Trump and Elon Musk stuff was happening, I was having this moment. I was like doing my makeup and doing my hair and I was going out and doing something anyway. And I was thinking, I was across what was happening in the economy and I was also being really girly. And I was like, fuck, I love the Curve Weekly. It's so fun to be able to feel educated and on top of what's going on, but also for it to be this like feminine, I don't know, which sounds so ourselves, but I'm so grateful that that this podcast exists because I wouldn't be getting my news from anywhere else. If you listen to this podcast regularly, which actually it's amazing to see how many people are coming in each week. Like this, the Curve Weekly particularly is just like taking off. If you've got any friends who you know are not super interested in the news or don't really partake in these conversations, please share it with them because it helps so much when people share the podcast.
You know?
Yeah.
But also it's funny, whenever there's a week where I'm like, oh, there's not much in the news, something always comes left field last minute. And I was like, last night I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Perfect. A public breakup.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Okay, well, we'll see you next week.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Raising the Curve. These conversations are designed to teach you everything you need to know to be better with your money, from saving to investing to talking with your friends about your salaries, all of that stuff.
And if you like what you heard, we would love if you could please hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the episode.
And it only takes 1 second and it would really make our week, our month, our year.
Yeah.
So please do it. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Okay, quickly. The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.